Hey guys, I'm Natasha Tessier. This is Nancy, and she recently joined our team at Dwell, and she is amazing. Everybody loves her. She's super friendly. She's got the experience of moving from California to Texas, which is a huge chunk of our business right now. And so I thought it would be cool to interview her and just talk about some of the biggest things that surprised her, maybe the pros and cons. It's like 900 degrees out, so that's a con. Of being in Texas, and does the good outweigh the bad? So Nancy, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Nancy. I moved from Northern California, from the Bay Area, so 510. And we moved here. It's been 7 months this month, 7 months. Yeah, and it feels like home already.
What was your biggest, like, I know everybody has a difference and I don't usually go into politics on my channel, but
Yeah.
what was like your biggest reason? Like, what was like, okay, we got to make a change? Because you were born and raised in California.
Yes, and I definitely was one of those Californians that thought I would never leave California. Like that just sounded crazy. A year ago, I would have told you I wasn't leaving California.
Yeah.
But the culture here in Texas, the love for freedom and not so much control over the people is probably was one of our biggest things. And really my boys, I have two boys, a 13 and 10-year-old, and they're at an age where I felt like they could still establish roots somewhere that would have a more positive environment, where they would be able to afford where they live and stay close to mom and dad.
Right.
And so those were the biggest things. But and my husband's a firefighter. So there were some major things coming down the pipeline that were impacting him and his ability to work as a firefighter in California. So that was kind of the final push.
Were they requiring vaccinations and all that?
Yeah. And a lot of it just didn't make sense. And there was a lot of ups and downs through all of that. And but coming to find out, we weren't the only ones experiencing this. And I think that's something a lot of Californians don't realize is you're not the only one. And so there's a lot of camaraderie with so many people that I'm meeting out here to realize that we're really not alone in this.
So did you guys have to take a pay cut?
Huge.
Most of my clients tell me, but it's cheaper, right?
It is. The cost of living, it is less, especially your first big purchase, which is your house.
Yeah.
And so that's like, your mortgage, that first thing, that's automatically lower. So we haven't really had to adjust our lifestyle much, even though we're making, a lot more than less than half of what we were making before, but we're really happy and content. And we feel like, we were blessed to be able to sell our home in California, and then be able to use those funds to help us get into a home here in Texas. So I feel like, honestly, Leaf and I have said this, we feel like we actually advanced ourselves about 15 years financially, like our financial profile, by moving to Texas from California.
Yeah, just making that big change. Do your boys like it?
They love it. And the test was a couple of weeks ago. We went back to California to help move my mom, and they were ready to come home. And I was shocked because, again, we've only been here like 6-7 months. And I was surprised that they were looking forward to coming back to Texas. I just can't believe that they were, in that little of a time. That they, were ready.
And you have one that is homeschooled and one that goes to public school, correct?
Yes. So that was a big factor in our move too. I pulled them out. I never thought that I'd be a homeschool mom, and I did it again because of the stuff that was coming down through the schools. And so my first one wanted to finish his homeschool year. And there were so many. I thought Texas, because they have such great schools, I didn't expect there to be so many homeschool groups. But this is like the mecca of homeschool.
Yeah.
And then my other son was eager to go back to public school.
Wanted to
So
socialize and stuff, I'm sure.
exactly. Yes. Yes. And he just didn't like mom being a teacher.
Well,
So, but
we
next
had a
year,
little of that during
yeah,
COVID with my, at the time, 10-year-old. And I was like, oh, wow,
that's
like I'm
great.
not cut out for this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but next year they're both going back. So
Oh, cool. Okay. So tell me, what were some of the big surprises for you? Like, are there things that you're like, whether it's the way people drive or maybe in a good way, how friendly I hear like people are? Tell me
yes.
what some of the pros and cons of good and bad surprises.
Yes. Okay. So the driving for sure, Bay Area drivers are aggressive, but Texans are fast and aggressive.
Especially on the freeways.
That
Like if you get
combination,
on 45, you better go or you're gonna get
and the
hurt.
service roads. I mean,
Mhm.
that's something that where I came from, we didn't have service roads or frontage roads or like
Yeah.
the FMs and all that. And so those are like mini freeways.
Yeah.
And so you have to, yeah, go prepared.
And the further you go in, the meaner like the drivers get. Like when I go see my parents, I'm like, and I grew up like driving like that. Like you have to drive like a mean person or you
Yes.
literally get,
Or
and
you
I
don't.
always tell my boys, I'm like, if you can drive in the city of Houston, let me tell you, you can drive anywhere. But like you put your blinker on and you start getting over because if you don't, you'll sit there for an hour. And then like
Right.
here in Montgomery, they're like, oh, come
Go
on,
ahead.
sweetie, and have a blessed day. And I'm like, okay. So you kind of become accustomed to that. And then I go there and I'm like, I feel myself stress. Hey, puppy. I feel
Sorry.
myself like stressing out because they're just I mean, it's just city life, you know?
Yes, yes, yes,
So,
it's true.
yeah.
But they wave at you too. So
Yeah.
it's like this.
I'm trying to
Are
be
you
nice,
driving or
but get out of
not?
my way.
Yeah.
I always tell people on my videos, I'm like, do not go slow in the left lane. Like, and have
Exactly.
your California plates because they're literally going to take their big truck and they're just going to bulldoze you over.
Oh, trucks. The amount of trucks that are on the road here is no joke. We had a Yaris for commuting back in California. There's no way I'd want to drive a Yaris around here.
You get crumbled.
Yeah.
You know, all the people love their trucks here. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what else? Was there any other like big?
Well, the friendliness of the people, the Southern hospitality for sure exists here. Our neighbor, we still have a push mower. And we've got a lot of grass to cut.
How big is yours? Half an acre about?
Just over 3/4 of an acre. And so I think he just took pity on us one weekend and he came and cut our grass on his little riding mower. So that was really sweet. And then on the walk on the waterway, we went down to the library and then we like do a little lap around the waterway. And this lady, we start, the dogs meet and then we start, chatting. She's from Brazil. Turns out she moved from California 15 years ago. And she gives me her number. And she says, well, I know you don't have any family or friends here, but here's my number if you ever need anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. All my clients always say like, they came over and brought cookies. Are they okay to eat? And I'm like,
right.
Yes, they're okay to eat. They're like, why are they acting this way? I'm like, that's what Texans do.
Normal
like
human behavior.
Like they might invite you into their garage for a beer. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Or a cigar.
Yeah. So have you enjoyed are the restaurants different or like dining, entertainment? Is that any different for you?
Yeah, it's well, as far as restaurants goes, people cap on the Mexican food not being as good.
Yeah.
I will challenge that. We have found 2 restaurants that have amazing street tacos. And
Where are they? So we can
off the 1488.
Yeah, what is it?
And Juanitos, they have really good and then
Mama Juanita's or a different one?
no, not Mama when we went there. No, they use a lot of queso. That's something new. queso everywhere.
Yeah. So Juanitos, I have to check that one. I had a client last night, just came in first night from California, and he's like, where do I go get Mexican food?
Oh yeah,
So
Juanita is
I sent
really
him to
good.
Hacienda on 105, which is, he loved it. He texted this morning and said
Oh,
it was really
good.
good. But what's the other one?
Yes, and then the other one is not Papacitos. It's across the street, Guadalajara. I think it's
Oh,
called
that's really
Guadalajara.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's been
that place
around
is really
forever.
good. Yes. And so yeah, the choice of restaurants, the amount of drive-throughs, that's another thing, like a Panda Express drive-through. I hadn't seen one until we moved here.
Oh, yeah,
So that's convenient with teenagers.
yeah.
Um, Chick-fil-A,
Anything that you miss?
anything that, well, I'm excited that an In-N-Out is
I
coming
saw
to
that
the
to the
Woodlands.
Woodlands. I did see
Yes,
that.
yes. So that's exciting. Anything that I miss? Mm, I don't miss the smoky skies. I probably just the evening breeze.
Yeah,
Like the Bay Area always has an evening breeze.
it cools off.
Yeah, and it cools off. So these daytime highs are not new for us.
Oh, wow.
But the fact that it doesn't cool off in the evenings, that's new. Like I can go out at midnight in a tank top.
Oh,
That's
wow. So,
yeah.
yeah, so I would say like this is obviously unseasonably hot. Like this 100 degrees is like our August where you feel like you don't get a break from it.
Okay.
Um, I remember last year in June being like, oh, like in the evening it would kind of a breeze with not
Mhm.
like cool breeze, but
But a breeze.
movement in the air.
Right,
And
right.
like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad. It's June, but this June,
Mhm.
we're hitting like record highs. We haven't had any rain either.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
usually we get these big, are the rainstorms different for you?
Yes. Okay. I feel like a little kid. I record them and I send them to people.
Oh my God, that's so
There
awesome.
was one night, this was about a month ago, it was in the middle of the night and my room would just light up like and what's weird is you don't see, I mean, sometimes you do see what do they call the lightning
Well, yeah,
rays, but really you just see the whole sky light up like,
yeah. And it's
and
loud.
and it's loud, yes. And I did not know that you're supposed to turn off your lights if the thunder and lightning is coming right over you. And so I didn't do that. We had every light on in the house and they started flickering at night.
Yeah. Yeah, the
So
thunderstorms are kind of crazy, but I
yeah,
do feel
they're
like,
really
I
cool.
don't know, I feel like we get kind of this bad. I mean, I've never seen a tornado here. Like every
Yeah.
once in a while, they'll be like, oh, there was a storm cloud, and they'll like show it all over the news. But like, I've
Yeah.
never heard of like a town is blown over here because
Yes.
that's further north. Like when you go to Dallas and up, that starts Tornado Alley. Of course, we haven't had a hurricane, knock on wood, since Harvey, but even then, I mean, it's flooding out here now. Like if you're in Galveston, you can really
Mm,
get a lot of damage, but you're an
yeah.
hour and a half from there, you don't, so I feel like the
Ex-
weather gets a bad, I mean, the heat is bad. And I tell them all the time on my channel, I'm like, July and August, like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It is hot. We live in the
hot.
pool,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, the rest of the year, didn't you feel like the rest of the year was kind of great? Like
Oh,
from
it's
December to,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yes. For someone from the Bay Area, I could see how Southern Californians, they have a more moderate temperature
yeah,
throughout the year. But Northern California, we have like summer, winter, fall, like it's pretty true.
uh-huh,
And I was surprised that it dropped to 28 degrees,
yeah,
in the winter, the coldest day that I was here for. The
yeah,
spring was absolutely beautiful. We spent almost every day hiking, going on out on the trails,
yeah,
going, fishing, all that.
yeah,
Um, and then in the summer, we just now do that same thing, but only in the morning or in the evening.
yeah.
No different than when I was back at home. I think that's the key difference is I thought we were going to be stuck inside all the time. You know what I mean? Like uncomfortable and
Yeah. I mean, I walk every day. I
Mhm,
just have to do it in the morning or the night right now.
exactly.
You're not going to I mean, there are people that walk at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They're crazy,
Yeah,
but
they do. And they're drenched.
I can't thinking of anything else. So when you said hiking and biking, where do you guys go? Like, do you feel like there's a lot of places to go do that?
Yes. And so I had no clue. I was so oblivious or naive that there was forest in Texas.
Yeah.
And
Really green
so,
down here. Well, normally when it rains and there's tall trees, it's pretty, you
yes,
know?
it is very pretty. And it's like going back to what you said about hurricanes. I remember when we went to Galveston, you could see like the palm trees were stripped, but
Yeah.
then you come up here and all the trees are fine.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyhow,
it's right on the water there. So,
yes,
right.
and off the 1488, like it's crazy to me that there's like this huge fishing pond and
Yeah.
there's people actually fishing it
Yeah. Yeah.
in the day. So we go through there and even through the woodlands, like all the parks, I'm learning they're like hidden behind the trees, but
Mhm.
a lot of them have like these trails that go
They go
through
for
and
miles. Yeah. The woodlands is full of walking trails.
yeah, so that's really fun for the boys.
So
Mhm.
do you like where you ended up in your neighborhood? Because Nancy's in a neighborhood that's like acreage right outside the woodlands, which is very rare, kind of
Mhm.
older homes, but like it has land, whereas a lot of the woodlands is like on top of each other, you know?
We love it here. Like I love that I look outside my backyard and I get a Lake Tahoe vibe. And then in 10 minutes, I go down to the Woodlands Town Center and I have like, for Bay Area people, it would be like a Danville, Walnut Creek vibe.
Uh-huh.
And that I get to have those two like
Married.
within.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. Yeah. No,
Cool.
we're super happy to be here.
Anything else you can think of that you would chime in on? I'm trying to think of any other questions I would ask you if I was moving here.
I have not been shy to ask neighbors for tips and information, and they're happy to share. They kind of screen you to see what kind of Californian you are.
Yeah, they're like, are
That's
you
legit. Yeah.
gonna keep us red or are you gonna, that's probably their main.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah, bottom line. But anyhow, they have been so like the whole like what is it May is snake season, like the snakes come out in May, and so we had two in our yard because we live in like
Really?
yes, two copperheads, and I was like, oh my gosh, is this normal?
Did they say,
And
I've lived here my whole life, I've never seen one.
really, well, it's because our yard needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's very forested. But anyhow, his yard doesn't get any because he's got a pool and grass.
Manicured. Yeah.
Manicured, exactly. So that was
They get
motivation.
freaked out about all that, you know, like they want forest and stuff to run in. So
Exactly. So our yard is perfect.
yeah,
Turtles, I find turtles on a daily basis under our deck.
that's so funny.
Yes. And so anyhow, we have a natural habitat.
That's funny. Okay, I just thought of another question. So tell me, because I know your husband is doing his little like side, he's a
Yeah.
firefighter, but now he's doing his side construction. Do you
Yeah.
feel like there's more like opportunity, like not with the whole, I mean, we could talk a little bit about COVID, like, was that different for you? Like, because I feel like people here don't even pay attention to it much anymore or
Yep.
ever.
Yeah. The only time I even thought about a mask was when I had to go back to California. And I happened to be going back the week that Alameda County reinstated a mask policy.
Just
Like
recently?
3 weeks ago. Yeah, it was like 3 weeks ago.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see. I'm so out of the loop. I didn't know
Yeah.
they were back at it.
And here, what's cool too is it's a you do you. So
Yeah.
I'll see occasionally people with the mask on and no one cares. Everyone is doing what they think is best for themselves.
Yep.
And that's all good. And
Yeah.
there's no judgment either way. And so yeah, so I'd say as far as construction goes, we've been surprised at well, two of the three projects he has are Californians who want to remodel their homes.
Yeah.
And there's not that fear of having someone in your home like we experienced back in California. And with all the rules, like I got asked one time if we were vaccinated for it was like a small closet project. And so here, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. They asked you back home when you were working on a construction project if you were back.
Exactly. Exactly. And
I'm not gonna go into that, but if your
yeah,
vaccine works, why does it matter? But anyway, we're not gonna go into
yeah.
that.
And we're here, it's all business. It's like, you know, give me the bid. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's that, it just doesn't even come up. And so, and everyone is safe and, you know, and all that. But so yeah, so I'd say there's just less I don't know, restrictions. Like, oh, that's another thing. There's less restrictions
Yeah.
in the building process.
Oh, yeah, because one of my clients the other day was like, hey, can you see when the permit was pulled to replace the roof? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, like, I want to know, like, on the permit with the county. I'm like, we don't pull
No.
permits to do a roof. And he's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I'm like, if you got a septic, you pull a permit. Otherwise, in the Montgomery County,
Wow. That's
I mean,
amazing.
building permit, like to put, but
Yeah,
there's just
exactly.
no like permit. I mean, if you are on a septic, you're required to have a maintenance plan because it's sanitary, but like they just, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So from a budget perspective, like buying a house that's a little bit, you know, maybe needs some fixing up to do. From a California perspective, you automatically start thinking, okay, I'm going to have to spend $5,000 pulling permits and getting inspections and all that kind of stuff. And here, unless you're doing something major, it's like you get to use that $5,000 to go get some really nice tile.
And I do always tell my clients, like, if you're up for a project, you will end up making money. And, like, instead of being the person that buys it already done, if you're up
Right.
for a project, go and because a lot of people can't visualize like what you've done. I mean, I know you've done awesome stuff to your house, but they
Mhm.
can't see it, so they get freaked out. But
Right.
a lot of
Mhm.
people can't see it, so your competition is less,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're going to do a part 2 with Nancy and talk about schools and kids and all that stuff. So I thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been fun.
If you guys have any questions, we have our form below. You can fill that out, and then that will go to a spreadsheet, and we will set you up on a search and get you on a Zoom and call you and try to figure out how we can help you move to Texas. So thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.